everybody, it's Scarlet Pete, Self-Sufficiency, and I'm continuing the machine knitting series. We're making a tiny little jumper, as you can see, and as I'm making the jumper I'm teaching new techniques. Yesterday we learned about making the lovely little perfect welted neckband. We learned how to put in a sleeve, and we learned how to stitch up on the linker. Now, today I'm going to do a fancy sleeve on this side on the top, just an alternative thing to do, just to make your designs look that little bit special. We're going to add a tuck in here, a tucked little welt just in there. So let me show you how. We've done the jumper, there's the jumper, we've done the sleeve, and now what we're going to do is knit in a contrasting colour. So I've got some blue there, that should stand out strong enough, shouldn't it? We're going to knit in a tighter tension than the main tension we're using, so we'll go down to 4 and we'll knit a little, like a little hem, like a welt would be done. So we'll knit, let's see, that was 6 rows there, so we'll knit 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4. As my yarn falls over at the back, and we'll put a folding row, and we'll do another 4 rows. Now there we go, 4 fold line and 4. That just looks like we've done some waste yarn, but little do you know what's going on next. We're going to pick up these stitches and make a folded little tuck in the top of the sleeve. So we're going to use the 3-in-1 transfer tool, pick up there, put that on there. Just picking up the orange stitches and putting them back onto the needles. We'll knit 1 row across. Now depending on the look you want, you might want to leave it there, or you might want to knit a row with the orange. I think I'm going to knit a row with the orange, but this will be my last row, so I'm going to mark the centre with some waste yarn. To mark the centre, we just gently pull them out, not past the latches, just so we're hooking the second colour, or third colour in this case, onto the stitches, onto the hooks. We hold it down as we go across with the carriage. We put the tension back to 7, which was the main tension, threaded back up the original colour, and we're going to knit carefully across, like that. And now we're going to put that onto waste yarn so we can stitch it into the place on the jumper. So I'm not going to break the yarn, I'm going to take it out because, like I keep saying in my videos, I don't like finishing ends off. So if we can get away without breaking it, that's fine. So we're going to hook that at the side of the machine here, and we'll thread up another colour to use as the waste yarn. We're going to throw it off. And here we have our sleeve finished, and we have a really pretty little tuck in an alternative colour that's going to stitch in and look really nice. So let's get the jumper now and put it onto those stitches, the jumper side, and then we'll stitch this in. This is how we're going to stitch it in, or put it on the machine. Right side facing us. We're going to pull out all the threads that we want to weave in into the seam. We've got the centre shoulder seam on 0, 0, and we've got the markers that are where the sleeve armhole point is to stretch out and put where we need it, just there on the needles. And we're going to use our tool to put it onto the yarn, onto the needles. Remember to pull out your marking waste yarn, that's that. And now we need to bring the sleeve back on and hook the orange stitches up, and there's the marker for the centre. Let's hook those orange stitches back up. And at this point, this is when we pull the needles out all the way. When we first hooked on the jumper seam, we left them in just about working position, but this time we're pulling them all the way out. That's how it looks with them all on. This time now it's time to take off the waste yarn, so we just pull that from underneath and unthread it. We can take out the centre seam marker because we didn't need it, and push it all back. Now then, this is the time now to weave in these ends. So all I'm going to do is just weave that up and over and back again in the seam, which will be over the needles now. That's all weaved in there, or woven in. Our original thread, the yarn that we started with, is at the side of the work, ready to put onto the carriage, so we don't have another join there. Tension dial 7, we'll just put this on holding position to go across as the needles are all out. With the carriage threaded up, we're going to knit 1 row across to join the seam. Make sure to pull back your thread so that the tension mast is not at full extension like it is on that one. That's ready to work with when the carriage is close to the work here. There's the seam knitted. It's now time to cast off. Before I do, I'm just going to snip off those ends that we worked in. And as always, I'm casting off by transferring one stitch to the next, knitting it by hand, but keeping it behind the sinker hook so it keeps the width of the fabric, so it doesn't form a too tight or pulled cast off, which is often a problem. Now, are we ready to see what we've done? Pulling that gently off the hooks, pull down the last stitch so it's finished off nicely. Tabitha's coming to have a look. And there we have it. Can you see this really sweet little tuck in the sleeve there? You can make them wider, you can make them smaller, you can do them tighter, you can do them frilly, you could even do them patterned and fair-isled. But I think that is quite a nice finish, just to make the sleeve top look lovely. What do you think? Have a little comment below and let me see. I know that the jumper is ridiculously small. That is just a sample jumper. But there you go, look at that. I think that finishes off beautifully the sleeve top. So I'll just get along and stitch this up now. I'm using the Hague linker to stitch this up. Now, one point to remember is do not get the little tuck trapped into the seam. It has to be free and free underneath, and then you can use some of the blue thread to stitch that together in the join here. So we're going to put that on, but without getting the blue into the linkers, onto the linkers needles there. So just put that on like that. Then we'll continue and do this seam here. I actually done this so you can see this is how I wind in, so I don't have the ends to finish off. Just wind them over and then they'll be snipped. Yeah. So I'm trying now to stitch and film. That's not going so well, but this is how the linker works. It's all stitched up, so we pull it off and there it is, done. We've got it linked up. It's beautiful little tuck in the sleeve top there. Tabitha's coming to have a little look. Now, I hope that was helpful for you and you've learned something. Tabitha's just inspecting it with her toy along here as well. If you want to learn any other parts of knitting this jumper, check out my others in the playlist. We've got one on the welts, we've got one on the neck, and Tabitha manages to get into most of them. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care. See you soon with the next video. Bye bye.